Hello, everyone. Greetings, Battle Brothers. It's me, Aurelia Tempris, uh, defender of the Golden Throne and servant to the Emperor of Mankind, beloved by all. How is everyone doing today? There we go. There's the box. How is everybody? Oh, Bahamut Bard, I see you have to head out today. Well, good luck with all your errands. Best of luck to you. Yes, hi everyone. I'm very excited to talk about this book. I spent a lot of time on this presentation, this PowerPoint, and we're gonna see how long this lasts. This will be a little bit different from the other ones I've done, where I just kind of I do this by the seat of my pants. I actually have a PowerPoint and everything planned, so hopefully this will go by a lot easier. Yes, hello, hello. Okay, let me turn my music on. Music. Excellent. We have the music going. Pants flying is the best flying. I mean, I guess. No, but the previous times that I've tried to do streams like this, where I just talk about a book and I don't have anything, I don't have anything planned or like a guideline, an outline, it's kind of gone off the rails. So hopefully this is going to be a bit better. So does this confirm the Bloody Angels are your favorite legion? I mean, sure, but they are my favorite legion to begin with, so if you needed the confirmation, there it is. Thank you to everyone who's joining and people who've been away for a little bit. I hope you get to enjoy the stream now instead of the instead of the VOD gang. My day went really well. It was a little bit of a getting everything set up. I am attempting to soundproof my office. Because I am undercover VTuber. So I have to make sure I can take everything down in my office in case someone comes over to visit, which is unlikely. So I just put up some soundproofing. Oh no. I'm not. No, Bahamut Bard, don't agree to that. That's a bad call. Let's not do that. You haven't gotten enough button fix for the day? You mean Aurelia fix? Yeah, Mini Death Knight hasn't been in and requested the button. It's very sad. It's just been sitting here. So I'm like, oh, what am I gonna do? This button is just, it's just here by itself. Look at poor button. Poor button. Very sad. Anyways, Inquisition is gonna get me for hiding stuff. Well, we'll see. We'll see about that. So far, I am undetected, but you never know how it is. All right, let's see. Getting some water. Yes. Story time. Figure we chat for a little bit, because yesterday was a good stream. Well, it was fine. Whew. Anyways, I guess I just have so much stuff I want to talk about, but it's like not about, it's all about my recent reading of the Commons Arcane books. I'm very excited for that. We'll be talking about that on Sunday, and I really am looking forward to it. It'll be so much fun. Anyways. Let's see, should we get started? The warp gave me a headache. Yeah, it's the warp though. It does that. It does that. The pesky warp. Silly. Let me move my stuff over. We're gonna do this, and then we're gonna do this. My presentation. You literally just got here, so you haven't missed a moment without the button. Hello everyone. Is my chat popping up? There it is, there it is. Chat is emerging. Devastation of Baal, one more book proof for the hypothesis that the OG Swarmlord is stuck under Ultramar and Hivemind can't make good copies anymore. I've never heard that theory, but that is interesting for me. I've never, that seems interesting. I actually learned a couple things reading this book that I didn't know about. Like, for one, and we'll talk about it later, I knew that they buried Sanguinius, but like I didn't know how they buried him. So in the middle of this whole thing, I was like, what does his sarcophagus look like? Because I just saw it pop up a couple times, and like in the text, and I was like, what? And I looked it up, and I was like, oh dang. It's pretty hardcore. Yes, for Sanguinius. Oh, so sad, so sad. R.I.P. my angel boy. I'm devastated. I'm so sad. Hello, everyone. Gosh, do you think if the centaur tank breaks a tread, they have to put it down? No, I don't think so, because it's a tank, not an actual centaur. That's a thought, though, isn't it? Yeah, so I have a couple. I actually couldn't find too many memes. I was looking into this, and I wanted to find some memes to talk about for this, but there's not a lot of memes for this book. It's mainly just sadness. It's just sad. There's just depression. Oh gosh, all the jokes about Baal and balls and I don't even know. Have I seen the Huak? No, I haven't. It sounds like you're spitting. Like you're like Huakta. Like that sounds like you're about to spit on someone. Yes, the great angel lives through his sons, and everyone, well, if you are able to get well, let me see. I'm getting next. If you are compatible with Sanguinius' gene seed, you'll like immediately become gorgeous. You're just gonna look beautiful. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's just like everyone is touched by Sanguinius. Some look better than others, but for the most part, it's you just look good. We can't let the bugs win. Why would you want the bugs to win? I don't want the Tyranids to win. I don't like the Tyranids. They're creepy boys. They go around and they just eat. And don't mistake that for me. I like to eat. I'm a huge fan of humanity, so... Okay. Should we get started? So, someone just said, are you fighting Matara? For any of you who don't know Matara... oh, sorry. Matara is like a VTuber who has like an insect model. She's like a bug person. I mean, I guess I could fight her. She's funny. So I could fight her. I know she hangs out with Bricky a lot. So I'm like, yo, she should paint, and I'm not gonna be the first person to ever say this, she should paint a Tyranid army. I think that'd be hilarious. I just think that would be so funny. But if she ever did paint or play, I don't know if she would choose Tyranids. Yeah. When I was telling someone, I was like, oh yeah, there's like a VTuber, and she looks like a bug. My friend was like, what the heck? Like, that's kind of rude. I'm like, no, I'm not kidding. Like, she looks, I think it's a bug. I'm like, I'm not 100% sure, but I think she's a bug. And I like pulled it up and I was like, yeah, she's a bug. Like, she advertises as a bug. Like, I don't know. It's definitely a unique concept, that's for sure. I would never have picked Bug as my VTuber model. I don't keep up with Matara on a regular basis, or at all, if I'm being perfectly honest. So I actually don't know what she's done recently in terms of like painting Warhammer stuff. But she's cool. I've watched some of her clips and like some of her clips when she's hanging out with Bricky. So yes, so people are saying it seems like she's painted stuff. I'm just not. I just don't know enough. She's an alien cockroach. Yeah, so it sounds like a tyrannid. But yeah, she's cool. She's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Let's see. I'm gonna change how big my model is so I don't cover up the chat box as much. There we go. Hopefully I changed some settings for the chat box, and I'm hoping that not the chat box, the alert box, that it shows up better than it did yesterday. There we go. There we go. Now I'm not covering chat as much. Bugs. We must construct additional pylons. Yeah, I guess we do. We'll talk about a bunch of stuff tonight. What do we think, chat? Are we ready? It's kind of been like 10 minutes. I think once I get into it, I'll just start like talking. Unless anyone has any questions before we start. How's it going? I'm doing well. Happy for stream today. I was told I got a super chat on my birthday, and someone said, "Hang on, excuse me, sorry." Someone said with the super chat that I had to get a bag of candy, since most of the times they get a bag of candy for their friends on their birthday. So I finally went to the store and I got a bag of candy today. I got watermelon Sour Patch Kids. So they're the watermelon like slice looking things. I haven't had them in a while, and they're really good. Am I a Nurgle worshiper? No. I think Matara said she'd pay for someone else to paint Tyranid models for her. Oh yeah, I'm sure, and like they could be really nice if they were in her colors. I definitely would not be capable of doing it. All right, you have a question. If you ever play Battle Sector, will you remember any of this book, seeing as the two occur at the same or similar time? I guess I'll try. I've never played Battle Sector, so perhaps I'll try to remember the book. That's for sure. We can smell you from here. Don't lie. What? Wait, what did I say? I didn't say anything about me being smelly. What just happened? Oh, Nurgle worshiper. Okay. No. I take showers on a regular basis. When am I gonna roast you like I promised? No, I decided against it. There's an opportunity for me to absolutely roast chat in the Discord. You should join our Discord server. We have a lot of fun. Sometimes I come up with stream ideas and just kind of crazy activities. You should join that. It's either in the YouTube description, or there's a command on Twitch you can use to get to the link. Coward? No. That's the last thing you could, I would want you to call me. Coward? How dare you? In some ways, that actually, like, gets me riled up. If someone calls me a coward, I'm like, legit, no. We talked about it yesterday. We were talking about Harry Potter, houses, and I'm a Gryffindor. So, like, if anyone said, like, oh, you're chicken, you won't do it, like, I'll get, within reason, like, I'll get mad. Like, right now, I'm like, oh, you're calling me a coward? Pff, whatever. Like, I will legitimately get riled up if you're like, oh, do this. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that. You're like, oh, you're a coward. I'm like, oh, why I oughta? Why I oughta? Oh. Yeah, so, munching on my candy. Do it or no ball? As much as it seemed like a Slytherin, you're a Gryffindor when you took the test. Yeah, I don't know. The test isn't always super accurate, I've discovered, but I've taken it pretty consistently, and I either get Gryffindor or Hufflepuff. Your question is, did you know Sanguinius in the books is described as having long dark hair, like not gold? So yeah, there's like talk about that. I read it in, I think it's in Horse Rising. And I think they like covered it up later to say like he dyed it because he was in mourning for like the loss of one of his captains. It was something like that. But they're like, oh no, he's got to be like angelic. But some people have theories that he's like the emperor, so his like appearance can like change and be different, like depending on who's like viewing him. Or someone's like, oh man, I just think it'd be funnier if he was a drama queen and he dyed it because he was being dramatic. or he dyes it on a regular basis. So there's a couple different theories. I don't know. I did know that, and I did look up some pictures, and it just looks weird. It looks like good Korax. Should I make that? Should I make like a Sanguinius coloring for my armor, but with the dark hair? What are you, Chicken McFly? That's a good movie. I saw that. It's been a while since I've watched that movie. Yeah, there's a few jarring things like that in the Heresy. Yeah, I don't remember all of the details. Like all the different things, but that was one that I saw and I was like, that's odd. My boy is blonde. Oh, wait, you're saying he killed the captain because he fell to the red thirst? Oh no. Okay, yeah, I would mourn pretty hard too, especially if it was my fault. In the punk rock phase, should I get him to my punk rock phase? All sad like. We want Hawkboy sitting on the toilet waiting for the dye to take. His hair is up and he's just getting it like... That's so funny. That's hilarious to me. Okay, should we start this? Should we start this? We do our little... Gotta do Noise Marine armor. It's only like colors, so we can attempt that, but it'll be very difficult. Raven Guard Aurelia isn't real and can't hurt you? Well, I mean, I am real. Let's see. I'm real. I promise, I'm very real. I'm actually gonna go with Goth Aurelia, just for fun. No, I'm very real. And I wouldn't hurt you. I wouldn't hurt you. I'm nice like that. Should my model be like this today? A little angst for a ball being destroyed. What do we think, chat? I kind of like this model. It's kind of fun being a little goth, because I'm definitely not goth in real life. You couldn't tell. No, I'm not. Aurelia is not coming out. We're gonna stick with the Warhammer themes. Yeah, I like the tattoos. The color is nice. Picked it myself. Yeah, no, I wouldn't be much. Yeah, if I hurt you, that would be bad. Yes, Jingo, I knew you would appreciate this. I knew you would appreciate this art. Maybe I'll do Goth Aurelia today. Everyone seems to like Death Aurelia. Not Death Aurelia. Oh, that's funny though. Goth Aurelia. But tomorrow we'll be doing armor, new armors. So that'll be fun to. You guys can vote and figure out which ones we're gonna do tomorrow. It'll be good. All right, we'll do this. You know, this is nice. We'll do part of stream with Goth Aurelia, I think. Let's do it. Okay. So it's time to start. Let's turn the music down so I can actually hear myself think. So, the Devastation of Baal. Some people say Baal, some say Baal. I say Baal. Don't know why, that's just how I say it. By me. This is my presentation. So basically how this is gonna go is I'm gonna give you like a whole rundown. Kind of the way I'm looking at this is like, I read this book, so you don't need to read the book if you don't want to. There's so much Warhammer lore. Trying to read all the books is insane. I think I will attempt to do so over the course of my lifetime. So basically, I am just gonna present this, give you like overview of what happened. I can't give you all the details, but I'll do my best. I have sections for like where there's some memes, there's some quotes that I found like really interesting. I don't cover everything, so give me a little bit of grace with that. So feel free to ask questions as I go through and I present this, or make jokes. I don't care. Like, this is like, I'm not like, oh, I have to get through this in order and I have to do each slide perfectly. No. We're just gonna have fun. So it's pronounced Baal because Baal is life. Okay. Yeah, you know, reading. I've done enough reading for one night on Armor Alone. Yeah, there are words on the screen. There are a lot of words, but I read the words and then I explain the words. There's probably a book for every day of the year, or for a decade or two. Yeah, I forget how many Warhammer books there are. There's a lot. But I'm just going with the ones I've read recently. Yes, hello. I'm gonna go with my theme. My PowerPoint presentation is in black and red. I'm in mourning. Anyways, so that's kind of the general outline of it. So feel free to stop me whenever I'm not like, oh no, I have to do this perfectly. Nah. It's actually way more fun if you throw in comments and stuff on what I say. Quick sip of the caffeine. Got some Baja Blast today. I thought about getting Code Red, but like, the Baja Blast is only like available for like limited time in stores. Like, even though this is like the 20th anniversary of Baja Blast, like I was like, I want to take advantage of it instead of having to go to like Taco Bell, even though I love Taco Bell. I'm part of the death company now because of the death of my husband. I guess, yes, but I didn't go into the Black Rage, so yeah. Okay. The presentation is starting. Everyone pay attention. Alright. Turn the music down. Alright. So, here is just kind of a general idea. Very basic, bare bones of what happens. Essentially, this happens at the very, very end of the 41st millennium. So it's like at the very, very end. They don't have like specific dates for when it starts because timelines are kind of weird. Yes, this will be on the test, everyone. There is a quiz. There is a test. You will be quizzed. Actually, that could be fun. But I don't want you guys to take this like a test. I would just like this to be a fun thing you listen to. Maybe I'll do that as a joke. Yes, so there is a Tyranid Hive fleet that is, it's called Leviathan. They gave them different names, so because they found out, hey, there's multiple Tyranid Hive fleets that are separate from one another. So they called this one Leviathan, and it's rapidly approaching the planet of Baal. And the Blood Angel chapters are gathering to defend the planet and the moons of their Primarch. What do you get for getting a high grade? My respect. My respect. And I'll be very proud of you. How about that? A gold star. Ooh, no, a gold star. You'll get a gold star and my respect. I'll be very proud of you. Yes, reading and comprehension, but it's mostly going to be me jabbering, because these are bullet points for me. Because I will go off the rails if I am not guided on this. Oh my gosh. You know, majority of Warhammer lore, you're quite literally a Chaos God. Oh, I mean, your username is Chaos Lord, so that is like, you know, that's to be expected, I guess. Alright. Well, I didn't prepare a quiz for today, so, you know, this will be on the test. Alright, here's some characters that you should probably know. Just to give you a general premise, most of these characters you will know. Commander Dante, this guy. He's been commander of the Blood Angels chapter for over, like, 1100 Terran standard years. He's been in charge longer than Sanguinius was ever in charge. Like, if you think about it, Sanguinius was in charge of... Oh, wow, what was the timeline? Sanguinius has been in charge of the Blood Angels for, like, 250, 300 years before he died. Like, from when he was found to when he died. So Dante's actually been in charge of the Blood Angels for, like, 2 or 3 times longer than Sanguinius has ever been in charge. He's been alive for 1,500 years. So he is a very, very old dude. You can see here he's tired, and they talk about it a lot in the book. That he wears the helm of Sanguinius, so it's like Sanguinius's death mask. So this is like the last face Sanguinius made. Like that was the last expression on his face, like his expression in death. So he wears this. And basically, when people see Dante, they're like, "That's Sanguinius." Like in their mind, they're like, "Oh my gosh, he's just like Sanguinius." So they never see Dante, the man underneath. They just see Sanguinius. So they actually remark when he takes the helmet off in front of people, like you realize how old and tired he is, how sallow and like how pale his complexion is. Like this man has been fighting for a long, long time. He's done a very, very good job. He's tired. Chat, this man is tired. He has done so much good for the Imperium, and he is a tired boy. He needs a nap. He needs to retire. All of those things. Now, the next one is the Chief Librarian, Mephiston. He looks pretty unhinged in this picture, but he is one of the mightiest psychers in like all of the Imperium. He's pretty dang powerful. He is the only Blood Angel to have conquered the Black Rage, and you're like, what does this mean? I'll tell you. So I don't know all of the lore regarding this, but there were 2 separate instances. So let's put it this way. There comes a certain point in a Blood Angel when they're fighting their enemies where they will just give in to their rage and their wrath. And it's called the Black Rage, which basically makes them almost like berserkers. And it's something they can never come back from. They kind of turn monstrous. Their fangs get really long. They are pretty much, they're gone. Like they will fight until they die. They have no more of their personality, just gone. This man did it twice, so he has been like gone, and with his mighty psyker powers, he's been able to pull himself out of like the pit, and he's been okay. Like it's super crazy. I don't know all the details. I don't know enough about Mephiston to give you all of that, but like what events led to those 2 instances, but it's no other Blood Angel has done this. And he did twice. And yes, he is a Primaris Marine. Yeah, I just saw that in the chat. So, and then the last one, he is also mentioned in this book that he is the Blood Angel with the greatest likeness to Sanguinius. And that people are like really uncomfortable with that because he's called the Lord of Death. And that's lore I don't know off the top of my head right now. But he is, he looks pretty dang close to what Sanguinius looked like in life. So people are a bit unnerved with his behavior sometimes. Honestly, I was a little disappointed. The audiobook, they gave him like such a nasally voice. I didn't like it. Like, I'll try to give my best impression. He's like, "We will have to start the ritual." And it was off for me. I was like, he's a nerd, but he's not like, it's not that much. So I was like, oh, that's a little too much, but it's fine. It's fine. Mephiston is essentially Blood Angel Kato Sicarius. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. He's done a lot of stuff. I read through his Warhammer wiki page to make sure I had all my notes correct, and I was like, oh dang, this guy's done a lot. No, he's not there yet. He's not a Primaris yet. Yeah, he's a nerd. Oh, someone says that voice belongs solely to Armin. Yeah, yes. All right, and the last one, I was trying to figure out like what a good third one would be, because there's a bunch of different perspectives you bounce back and forth, but these are the main three, and really you only go through two of them. It is Gabriel Seth. Gabriel Seth is currently the chapter master of the Flesh Terrors. They use their red thirst to savagely destroy their enemies on the battlefield. This is very controversial in the Blood Angels. They're very much like, let's do what we did before, like keeping our rage and the ugly side of us under wraps. But Seth is like, you know, here we need to do it this way. Like, we need to accept that we are a bit monstrous, but if we use it effectively and we use this tool effectively and within reason, we can actually help the Imperium way more than by trying to hide it and suppress it. Does this book have an appearance of the Sanguinor? Well, you're gonna have to find out. You're gonna have to find out. I'll tell you. Promise, I will tell you. But it in this book, you don't get the perspective of the Sanguinor. I'm just saying these are like the main perspectives that you see in the book. There are others, but these are the ones you see the most of. And when I was trying to summarize this, I was trying to do it like succinctly. I mostly left out Gabriel Seth's, what he did, because compared to what the other characters did, it was a lot less. It was more like he was going around fighting people. And I could be like, yes, Seth is fighting, and he's fighting more, and he's fighting more. So I didn't like straight up say all of the details that Seth did, but I can talk about them, even if they're not like written on my PowerPoints. So, any questions? Any questions about these three characters? Oh, and by the way, I have all the art credits at the end of the slideshow. So they're there at the very end. Okay, next slide. So, this is like the sequence of events. So this is kind of how everything goes down in this book. So, basically, Dante has summoned all of the Blood Angels to all the chapters to come to Baal. And one of the first things he does when everyone begins to arrive is that he sends out the Blood Angel gene seed that currently isn't like distributed, and he sends it away from Baal. He sends like a whole little squad of Blood Angels to protect it, because it's pretty easy to tell he is not confident that they are going to win this fight against the Tyranids, because the Tyranids are on like a crash, like they are on a collision course. They are coming for Baal. There was a lot of argument whether or not the Tyranids were actually super intelligent and that they were actually going for Baal, or if they were just mindless monsters. But no, they're going for Baal. They were not happy with the Blood Angels. So, basically that's kind of the start of that. So this is technically Dante summoning all of the Blood Angels, all the different chapters, is technically illegal, because the Codex Astartes was specifically designed to split up all the legions into chapters to avoid something like the Horus Heresy. So basically, Dante is committing heresy by summoning everyone, but he thinks it's really important because it's the home world of Sanguinius, and that's where Sanguinius is buried, and it's critical. It's really important. All right. While people are coming to Baal, there is a ship. It's called the Splendid Pinion. It encounters Leviathan Tyranids while it is en route to Baal, and it unknowingly brings a lictor, which is kind of like a form of Tyranid, to Baal. What essentially happens there is the Angels Excelsis is a chapter, and they went to help another group of, like, another fleet save one of the ships. But during the process, at the very end, the Lictor was able to infiltrate and get onto the ship. So it's really bad, because by the time the ship gets there, the Lictor falls off the ship and lands on the surface of Baal and is alive, and actually does some extreme damage later on in the book. And we can blame one guy for it, and he was being very prideful and arrogant, and he should have checked, but he was being too arrogant to do so. All right, so another one of the issues when all of the chapters start going over to Baal is that the chapters are all, like, on the same tier level. So chapter masters of different chapters are basically in contest with one another for who's in charge. So that's a huge issue, because there's so many chapters. I have the numbers listed at the very end, how many people were involved in this massive, we'll call it a war. It was like a little war on these two planets. Oh my. It was bad. So they basically are fighting all the time, trying to figure out who's in charge, who takes orders from whom, and everyone is too proud to say, yes, you probably know better, I'll let you command my men. But I can also see being like, hey, these are my men, and I'm responsible for their deaths, and you don't care about them the way I do. Which is really disappointing and, like, sad that they couldn't work it out. So, because of this, when everyone arrives on Baal, they make a giant vote that Dante says, hey, if you make me your commander, like, you give up, like, the control of your men to me, I will put everyone as, like, in their best spot that they can be, and this is the only way we're gonna win this war, if we have some sort of hierarchy, some sort of command structure. So they made a vote, and they made Dante the commander. Everyone was actually really, really chill about it. So, like, when they pitched the idea, everyone was like, yeah, obviously it's gonna be you, Dante. We love you, Dante. Like, why wouldn't it be you? People were actually kind of mad that he even asked the question. And he was being polite. He's like, I don't want to be presumptuous, that this is what is the best for the Blood Angels, and I want to ask your permission before I do something like this. And some people voted against it, but it was like a matter of honor, and because they didn't want to go against the Codex Astartes. So it ended up being they made Dante the leader, and it was really helpful. They have a giant pre-battle celebration where they're, like, feasting, they're having a really good time. They're interrupted by a disgraced chapter. The name I could not remember, and I couldn't find it when I was trying to go through my notes. But basically, even, like, a disgraced chapter, one that was exiled, it came to defend Baal, and we find out that it basically was exiled because it was known to consume the blood of civilians. So they said, hey, that's a no-no, you can't do that. So basically they came, and Dante was like, you know what? It's okay that you're here. We're just happy you're here to, like, we're just happy you're here to save this planet from the Tyranids. Oh, yes. That's just such a sad quote. Any questions? I'm so sorry. I'm just talking, and I want to make sure everyone has questions if they've got any. Yeah, I didn't see. Yeah, the Lamenters weren't listed. I don't know why. I don't know all the details why the Lamenters didn't show up. But maybe it was for the best. I think they would have been in a bad position if they were there. They're notoriously unlucky. Oh, yes. So my outfit today is just thematic. It is kind of like Death Company, but it's more like mourning. Just kind of for fun. Everyone likes Goth Aurelia for the most part. Yap away. Okay. It's just hard to tell when I don't see the chats, and I'm like, okay, is everyone still enjoying this? If the Lamenters showed up, they would have soaked up all the damage. I mean, there's only so much. There's only so much damage that they could take, because honestly, every chapter here suffered. Was it the Knights of Blood? Okay, cool. I mentioned them later, and I couldn't remember if it was the Knights of Blood or if it was a different chapter. The Lamenters were presumed to be wiped out at this time? Okay, I'm glad you, like, listen to me talk, because that's all I do. I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's different. I've done presentations before in front of rooms of people, and it's easy to see if people are engaged because you can look at them in person. But when I am looking at a screen on my computer and a chat box, I can't read body language. I can't read anything. So I have to go off what I can see. So, okay, you're making me feel better. Thank you. Oof, imagine not being invited because someone thought you were dead. No, I'm sorry, you can't come help us. You're dead. You're saying we should stream in a lecture theater? Yeah, I think it'd be harder to get everyone involved in the process, like, get everyone to hang out. So it would be difficult. Get some more Baja Blast in me. All the caffeine in the world will fuel me. Could you imagine a Zoom meeting of all the chat to show engagement? That would be interesting. It's like difficult because then it's like online identities are weird. It'd still be my face if we're being perfectly honest. But that would be funny. I could see all like the hands, like the different emojis you can use in Zoom. That'd be a lot. All right, now. Maybe we'll try that in the future. Maybe that might be fun. We'll see. We'll see. All right, Mephiston. I love this art, honestly. This one has the art tag in it. It's like Ivan Kilmenko, I think is how you say it. I have no idea. This is such a cool look for Mephiston. So, as if things couldn't get worse, Tyranids are coming. Things are just not looking good for anyone ever. Dante is not sure they're gonna win. No, he's actually confident they are gonna lose. So Mephiston, while everything is approaching, he has a dream. Well, and he doesn't dream. He makes that very clear. He's like, I don't dream. So he basically receives a vision from an elderly Harlequin. Did I spell that right? Probably not. Anyways, he receives this vision. Like, he is forced to see this vision. This Eldari pulls him in, and she's like, Monkai, you gotta look at this. And he's like, bro, get away from me. And she said, no. So basically what she shows him, Harlequin is spelled right. Good. I'm paranoid now. So what she shows him is that he witnesses part of what's going on with the 13th Black Crusade. A little bit of like what's happening with Cadia. It's not looking good. Yeah, newsflash chat, it doesn't look good. F in the chat for Cadia. Anyways, he sees the fall of the 5th Company to the Black Rage, which is a very, very bad sign. So those are both bad things, and he's like, yikes, this is not good. But the worst thing that he sees is he sees the Bloodthirster, Kabanda, attempt to breach the material plane. Alright, time for a little history lesson. Kabanda is basically the Khorne demon that tried to make Sanguinius fall to chaos during the heresy in the Cygnus cluster. A mess. A mess, chat. This guy is so upset. He's pissed. He hates the Blood Angels because he got the crap kicked out of him. So he is coming to Baal, and he is fighting through the plane of Khorne. He is fighting through the plane of Khorne, trying to reach, like, basically, it's kind of like described as like a gate that goes to the material plane, but it like also sits outside of Baal. So kind of hard for me to like figure out the best way to describe it. So he is booking it. He is like slaying and killing, trying to get over there. He wants the Blood Angels dead. And he's like, this is the perfect time. The Tyranids are coming. Everything is just going to be a mess for them already. Time for me to get involved. So, yes, that's the dream that he sees. And he's like, this is bad. So he talks to Dante about it. He's like, Dante, this is what's happening. Dante's like, are you sure? And Mephiston's like, I'm going to figure that out. And Dante's like, how are you going to figure out if like you're positive? And Mephiston says, you don't want to know. Mephiston basically resorts to sorcery to figure out whether or not this is actually going to happen. And like, long story short, he does a couple different things, but he figures it out. He's like, oh yeah, it's basically confirmed. We're totally screwed, guys. We're totally screwed. 100% screwed. Plain of corn, like a cornfield? No. That's funny, though. Yeah, he defeated Sanguinius during their first fight and lost to Sanguinius in the second. Yes, Kabanda. Yes. Yeah, it was a whole mess. The Cygnus cluster, that was a devious trap. It's so funny. All right, now the next part. This is where the battle begins and it starts to pick up. So at this point, the beginning is void warfare, and honestly, incredibly depressing. Incredibly depressing, because essentially all of like the chapters that are that are in like this void warfare and on these like battleships and these cruisers, like most of them die. Like they do a really good job at taking out some of the Tyranids and some of the big Tyranid ships. Like they do a really good job, but their whole purpose was like to delay their landing on Baal, and most of like the chapters just straight up vanish, disappear. So for example, the guy who was responsible for bringing the Lictor to Baal, he had like a little I don't know if it's battle barge, but he had like a cruiser, and it had his whole chapter on it, or like part of his chapter, and like they just straight up died during the fight with the Tyranids. Like the ship was completely destroyed and all of the men died. Like absolutely devastating if you're on those ships trying to prevent the Tyranids from coming in. There are some ships that did survive, but it was not very promising. So it was extremely deadly, and it quickly became an unsustainable fight. It was so messy, and just like they took so many losses. Just brutal. Like reading it, I was like, holy cow. I will say, a lot of the summary that I'm giving, like this book in the beginning is like really, really slow, but it gets way more intense as it goes on. But like the first half-ish, I was like, oh my gosh, this is taking forever for them to set up, prepare, and work out everything. Just, whew. Oh, you're taking notes for our RPG related things? Yes, this is a lot of good lore. I'm sure there's other people on the internet who will do this a lot better than me, more succinctly than me. Heck, I'm doing it for a stream. So it's a mess. It's a mess. So now, after the void warfare kind of happens, you have Baal and the two moons. You have Baal Primus and Baal Secundus. Secundus is the more heavily populated one, and kind of before this began, Dante basically told like a good majority of the civilians to leave. They kept all of the civilians, or most of the civilians that were fighting age, men and women, but they let the children and like the wives, like the mothers, go, and like the elderly. So basically, you have a lot of regular humans also fighting in this. So it's not just Space Marines. You also have humans that are completely untrained that are fighting these Tyranids as well. Like a scary thought when you think about it. Like imagine you're like, okay, you're just having a regular normal day. All these Space Marines are showing up, and you're like, huh, this is kind of weird. And then they're like, here, take this las gun. Now you're gonna go shoot those bugs over there. Like you need to defend your planet, otherwise we are all gonna die. Like, you can't see my face. I wish you could see my face because the expression there is just like, it's bad, chat. It's bad. I would hate to be told that. So, you have all of these humans. I don't think they ever gave a number how many humans were involved. Like regular people. But a lot. But they mostly fought on, they basically split them up, and I think they mainly had them on Baal in the Arx Angelicum, and then on Baal Secundus, but they didn't really talk too much about Baal Secundus in this book. So, we're gonna talk about thirst water. Thirst water, oh my gosh. The scariest thing I've ever read, and I even read stuff after the fact from Dante. If you're gonna read this book, by the way, read Dante first, and then read Devastation of Baal. You get more insight on who Dante is, and like what kind of guy he is, and how he became who he is, instead of just jumping into it like I did. Let's see, at least 12 people. Yeah, there's a lot. They even went deeper than the PDF forces. It's literally anyone who could not hold or fight. Yes, no, pretty much. That's exactly what happened. They basically said, are you like this age? I think they even took like anywhere from like, it was like 12-year-olds until like someone who was like, it was like 12-year-olds to like 65-year-olds if I had to like put a number on it. They didn't give specific numbers, but like if you're talking regular humans that aren't getting special treatments done, they're not getting what's it called, rejuvenate treatments. If you're talking just like regular lifespan, they're probably taking like 12-year-olds to like 65-year-olds. That's a lot of people. A lot of like people that are untrained, don't know what they're doing, and they are probably gonna die. Like Dante, like they said when Dante was like making the announcement, he had a heavy heart about it. He did not want to make that call, but he needed to. He really needed to, and it's so sad. And there were like riots in the streets when it got announced because everyone was like, what, we're not gonna do that, and like they had to put down some people because of the riots. It was insane. Yeah, it's one of the worst things you could do, but is an unfortunate necessity for this. I wonder if it would have been okay if they didn't have all of the the immediately recruited what's it called, drafted humans, but I don't know. But one of the main reasons is that they wanted to get a lot of biomass off the planet and hopefully reduce what the Tyranids could consume and maybe make them less of a target for Leviathan. All right, now it's time to talk about thirst water. You think, like, have you ever been thirsty, chat? You ever been thirsty and you're like, man, my throat is so dry. Like you've been running, it's hot outside, you've done a lot of yard work, whatever it is. Like, and your throat is just so dry, you haven't had water. And like that first like sip of water feels so good. Now imagine if that like thirst that you have is like your entire body covered in it. So here is what thirst water is. Baal, most of the planets, so Baal Primus, Baal Secundus, mostly desert. There's some exceptions. Mostly desert. But the issue is there's not a lot of water in the area. That's a huge problem. So when you're out in the deserts, not a lot of water. Thirst water is, they kind of describe it as like a living, it's like an organism type thing. It's not like water. It is it's a liquid, but it's not water. Essentially what happens, one drop chat, literally one drop of it touches your skin and it will suck up all the moisture in your body. I'm not kidding. It's horrifying. The worst example of it I can give, and I was horrified reading it. Like, I was like, oh dang, thirst water is kind of cool the way they're using it. But if you read Dante, it talks about an instance where Dante had, like one of his, I think it was a childhood bully, but his childhood bully, Roy, thanks for the bits. In Soviet space, water drinks you. Yes, so basically, this childhood bully, Dante tries to prevent him from drinking the water because he knows it's thirst water. He basically scoops it up into his mouth, and he's basically like dried out from the inside within 30 seconds. No, it's bad. So it sounds like a slime, but it's like a fluid. It's weird. I don't know everything about it, but like the most, like, reading it, it was very descriptive in how this young child died. It was a child too. Read it on your own time because it's pretty twisted and messed up. I was like, oh my gosh. Like I had a healthy fear of it reading this book. And then it was even more terrifying. Ooh, yeah, brother. Ooh, yeah, it was bad. It was pretty bad. Yeah, it's read it on your own time. It's a bit too much to read on a stream, to put it lightly. So basically, Dante knows about this, and what they do is that around the Arx Angelicum, they make a giant moat and they fill it with thirst water. So it basically kills you upon like you touch it once, and you're dead, you're goner. So the Tyranids at this point have landed on the surface and are starting to attack, and they are running at like towards the Arx Angelicum, and they get into the moat, and like they're moving so fast they like instantly die. So like hundreds of thousands of Tyranids, boom, die because of the moat. And eventually the hive mind is like kind of looking at it, and it's like, well, the only way I can get across is if I throw bodies at it. So what's left behind when you touch the thirst water is like your bones dry out, but they stay. So everything else, your flesh, your muscles, the tendons, anything, those gone. Bones stay, but like they're dried up. So like no marrow, there's no liquid in them. Okay? And basically what the Leviathan hive mind did is that, like, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna throw bodies at it. So what they did is that it threw bodies, and basically got to the point that the Tyranids' bones, they filled the moat. The bones were so thick and so stacked that they were able to use the bones as a bridge. Like, that is another level of messed up. The fact that, like, and you can also get an idea of, like, how many Tyranids, like, in the different forms of Tyranids were there. Because there was already some fighting going on before they had the moat. They had, like, a layer outside, and they were using their retreat to convince the Tyranids and trick them into going into the moat. It is a very good bioweapon. It's very good. But like they had been fighting before they did this, and just there's like millions, if not billions, of Tyranids that are involved in this conflict. This conflict alone, not including any other hive minds. Oh my gosh, yeah, it sucks. It sucks, to put it lightly. Yeah, army, yeah. Oof. I was like, dang, that is a scary thing. Like, they are forever, like, they're forever pursuing, forever, like, following you. Just, a whole new kind of just scary. All right, now, so fighting occurs on both of Baal's moons with high casualties. So I didn't include this, but Gabriel Seth is assigned to Baal Primus, which is like the desert, one of the desert moon of Baal. Secundus is the one that is more populous. And so he is assigned there with the Knights of Blood. He has some interactions with the chapter master from the Knights of Blood. His name escapes me at the moment. But essentially he wanted the Flesh Terrors to be separate from all the other chapters, because they get a little bit more ragey and they start to really go after their enemies, and he didn't want other chapters to get in the way and actually get hurt or like report them to like the Inquisition for being heretical. Listen, friend, I know the world is scary right now, but it's gonna get way worse. Absolutely. Absolutely. So he basically tries to talk to the chapter master of the Knights of the Blood, and this guy is another kind of twisted. So the Knights of the Blood, we say they drink the civilians' blood. They keep their helmets on, like, most of the time. They don't take them off. And the Knights of the Blood is like, hey, you should give in to the red thirst. Like, you should, like, just do it our way. Just give in to the rage. Like, they're not covered by the black rage yet, but they're just like, yes, give in to your anger. Ah! Vacadori, thank you for the bits. I owe Goth Aurelia since when? Oh, I just decided to do this for this stream because it's kind of fun. I'm in mourning. And also Death Company. Anyways, they meet the chapter master of the Knights of Blood. In cold blood, kills a civilian child and like drinks his blood. Really messed up. And you're just like, bro, you are some other form of twisted. Gabriel Seth is understandably so disgusted, and he's like terrified that his chapter will end up becoming like them. Oh, extra side note that, like I said, I didn't include Seth's perspective because there's most of the time he's fighting. Before the battle started, Dante came, he approached Seth, and he said, hey, I want you to take this. He gave him the can I say the word? The reliquary of Amit. Amit was, I think it was 5th Company. Is it Company? Yes, 5th Company. I think it was Terminators for the Blood Angels. Like before the heresy and all that. Very loyal dude, but you know, kind of prone to being ragey. Basically, this reliquary holds a feather of Sanguinius, and it's like in a perfect stasis field, and it is a huge honor, and it actually belongs to this particular chapter. So he basically gives it to Dante gives it to Seth and says, hey, it belongs with its original chapter, like take care of it. And like Seth almost like refuses, but then he accepts it, and it actually ends up being really helpful later. For context, I found out how big Sanguinius's feathers are. So the feather that they have in this box basically is a foot long. Like imagine it, it's like the size of your forearm, like a feather that long from one of the massive angel wings he has. Like dang, like that's huge. Like I never like put it into context. I never thought he had like, oh, little tiny baby feathers. But like thinking about like, you look at the size of a bird and you see how long the feathers are, comparing it to a human, and then a human who's 10 to 12 feet tall. That's pretty big. How many feathers tall am I? Oh yes, you know, it's the United States. We like to measure things very improperly. Anything except the metric system. Anything except the metric system. How many feathers tall? It'd be like 6. A little more than 6. So that one was really, really important later on. It ended up being very helpful for the flesh tearers to maintain their sanity later on. All right, take a sip, take a sip. You're about 6 feathers tall on a good day? Did my husband Sanguinius give me a feather on my wedding day? Well, you see, I don't think we realized in the moment, like, if you think about it, you're like, oh, he's got so many feathers. Like, you don't think of like, oh, yes, let's like save one, let's like hold on to them. Like, that, honestly, that would be kind of weird. Like, think of it this way. It would be like if your girlfriend asked you, like, hey, can I have a lock of your hair? Or like, here, babe, as a gift to you, here's a lock of my hair. And gives that to you. I don't know. For me, it's like a little weird. It is a little different because it's a feather. It sounds wait, that sounds normal? That sounds normal. Oh my gosh. I will say, when I did my, my collab with Cha-Cha, she made a comment that I thought was kind of funny. She said, Sanguinius probably molts when he's stressed, which honestly is a good point because he had to grow those feathers. So you gotta know there was a phase where Sanguinius was like an ugly duckling because of how, like, the feathers coming in on his wings. It's like, that's a thought I never had before, Cha-Cha. Thanks for putting that in my head. Like a special feather for me? I mean, maybe. But yeah, thinking about Sanguinius molting is a little cursed. Oh my gosh, alright, sip. I actually had a girlfriend give me a lock of her hair once. It was weird. See, it strikes me as weird. I know I would be a bit put off if someone did that. I'd be like, oh, thanks. And then, like, you can't throw it away. Because if someone gives you a lock of their hair, they're clearly doing it for a purpose, and they're probably going to ask you later, oh, where do you keep that lock of my hair? And you're going to be like, if you throw it away, you're like, oh, I threw it away. And then you're on there's like the crazy train, and you're going to have to deal with the fallout of someone who's probably a little psycho. Like, what? You threw away my hair. Do you not love me? Blah, 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 blah. It's going to be a whole thing. So you have to keep it, technically. You have to put it somewhere. Because even if you lie, they're going to find out. They're going to find out. They're going to find out, chat. I wonder how soft a pillow with his, like, feathers would be. It'd probably be very, very soft. We talked about this the other day. If Sanguinius gave you a hug, like, with his wings, it would be such a good hug. Because, like, they're really soft. Probably is, like, the softest feathers. Like, they have to be, like, both parts, like, firm enough and... Oh, gosh, how do I put it? Because it can't be, like, down. Because then you're not really getting much lift. Oh, thank you, Hydra Legionary, for the super chat. Yes. Yes, you're absolutely right. Dante... Dante would be the best son. Like, there's no going around that. The best son. No, YouTube chat just doesn't appear on my screen. Sorry, YouTube. I still look at your questions and I respond to them. It's, I'm working with my tech priest to solve this issue. And we're gonna get it solved. I'm hoping. I'm praying. So, no. I can see all the messages. But yes, Dante would make a great son. Oh, it could be worse. It could be fingernail clippings. Okay, chat, I'm curious. Has anyone ever had, like, a girlfriend or someone that they were, like, dating, or even a friend, like, do weird stuff like that? Where they give you, like, weird, like, personal, like, trinkets that are, like, kind of gross? I don't know. I've never had it happen to me, but I can imagine it happening, and that would just be like, ooh, that's nasty. Definitely not my preference, and that would be like my first sign to run, and run really fast. My alert box. Warren from Marvel is very similar to Sanguinius. I did not know that. I'm not familiar. Okay. It seems like, I think for the most part, people have not had to deal with weird trinkets from significant others, but you know, I'm glad. I'm happy for you, Chad, that none of us had to deal with that. Oh. Patrick? You shouldn't be. Let me check. One second. That's odd. Let me look into something really fast, chat. Oh, I'm sorry. Macadora, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Let's see. Let me go to my... Oh. Okay. Everything should be fixed now. I think I was just having like a weird hold for some reason. Okay. You had your girlfriend give you a necklace of teeth. Is she an orc? If she's an orc, that's okay. That's allowed. Yeah, it seems like it was an older practice, but giving locks of hair, but you know, still. It's a little bit weirder today. I don't know why. It might have been Patrick, it might have been the bot that blocked you for some reason. I don't know why. It's fine. It should be fixed now. All right, the next part. So, I think I covered it all. I think I covered it all for this. Now, we have problems. This technically happens before Tyranids start landing on the surface, but everything is going bad all at once. If she's an orc giving you teeth, she's aiming to be a sugar parent. Yes. 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 So, now for the part, Kabanda. They're fighting this guy. Basically, Mephiston gathers all the powerful librarians. Not all of the librarians, but some of them. And they basically go deep into Baal, where there's a really cool chamber. I talked about this the other day. This chamber is filled with bloodstone, and I talked earlier how I actually talked about this on my wedding stream, but basically if you're given like a bloodstone, it's like a huge honor and achievement because it's usually given by Sanguinius, you know, before he died. But it basically, like, you embodied like heroic traits of the Legion, so it was like a huge deal. And also in like small, like, they're technically psychically, they're linked to psychic powers in small like amounts, not really, but in like large quantities they really help with they can be really, really powerful, and they can assist with like the psychic, like basically you could do different why can't I think rituals and stuff, and they're more likely to succeed. So they basically go to this cavern beneath Baal, and it is like filled with this crystal, like the natural crystal. They mention like it is like the one portion, like one of the few areas the Imperium has not touched, like has not like plundered, looted, just not touched. So just was that a gifted sub? Bro. Oh, Vacadori, thank you for the gifted sub. Congratulations. Let's see my tree. Yay, thank you. Thank you for the gifted subs, Vacadore. Congratulations to the people who got gifted subs. And make sure give big thanks. You're taking second place now. All right, so basically there's an area underground in Baal where they do this ritual to prevent Kabanda from entering real space. Now, this is technically heresy. This is heresy of like the highest form. It's basically sorcery. It's kind of how they put it. They're like, yeah, this is sorcery. This is bad. Don't do this thing. But they do it anyway because they're trying to prevent him from coming in and like causing even more problems. This picture here, that's actually Sanguinius, but there's only so many pictures of this demon that I could find. This is the cover on Fear to Tread. So yeah, there's my boy Sanguinius. You know, we had to squeeze him in somewhere on this. We had to get him in here somehow. All right. Oh no, there's memes happening in the meme channel on Discord. Oh boy. I mean, what did I expect? I'm having a stream. It's normal at this point for me. Okay. So, what they do is that they get together and they open a portal to the realm of Khorne. They basically, they get all their blood together. Oh, there it is. Super chat. Thank you, Patrick, for the super chat. I'm gonna have to try a Darktide look, and I have to try a couple different looks tomorrow when we do the coloring stream, when I change like some of the armor theming. So they open a portal to try to fight Khorne. Basically, Mephiston steps through this portal and like starts fighting him, like physically fighting him, keeping him at bay from entering real space. So unfortunately, during this, some librarians lose control. Some of them die, and the portal is destroyed, which is really, really bad because that means they're gonna have a bloodthirster on their hands really soon. He almost made his way. He almost tore his way actually through the portal, so it was gonna be really bad. But he did stay on the other side, but he is coming, and his arrival is imminent. And the ritual will not stop him from materializing in real space. Lots of yapping today. I need a lot of water. Blood for the Blood God, Skulls for the Skull Throne. Yep. He does talk a lot about how he wants skulls so he can present them to Khorne as a gift. Someone needs to commission more artwork of him. Well, I don't know. He's okay. I mean, he's cool, but I don't like him. So I could go without it. So basically, Mephiston's like, Dante, I'll get this done. Dante's like, okay, go and do it. And then Mephiston's like, oof, we kind of failed here. They were actually like buried. The cave and the tunnel system that they took to get there actually collapsed, so they had to dig their way out in the middle, like while a war is raging on overhead. So it's not looking good because the librarians would be super helpful fighting the Tyranids right about now. Yeah, he does have a model. I did see his model. It looks pretty neat. Just super cool. Anyways. The Horde enters. So, you know the Lictor we talked about? This Tyranidy thing, sneaky boy, that we said landed on the surface of Baal? Well, it decides to rear its ugly head. So what it does when it lands on the surface of Baal, it's basically designed over like years and years of like evolution. It like is virtually like undetectable. Almost. So it basically buries itself in the sand outside the fortress and just waits. And it waits until the war starts. And when there's a moment where the Tyranids disengage and they try to regroup, it's been like scanning the ground and it finds a weak spot in the ground. There's basically an area where an old like fuel tank or a tank used to be, and it was connected to the Arx Angelicum. The tunnels were originally collapsed, to make sure there was no weakness. Unfortunately, it was able to burrow into the tunnel and then blow up like the wall on the other side. So essentially the Tyranids found a way to get into the Arx Angelicum without having to scale the walls. They still did scale the walls, but it was not a good time. So when it busts into the walls in like the craziest like turn of events, it finds the Blood Angel neophytes. The neophytes are basically the young boys that are going to become future Space Marines. What they do is that they put them in a stasis tank. They pump them full of chemicals and everything. But basically the neophytes are the future of the Blood Angel chapter. And they like, I forget how long they said that these neophytes stay in their tanks, but it's like at least a year. that they sleep in the tanks as they start to become Space Marines. So they happen to bust into the room where like all of like the Blood Angel neophytes are, and they begin like destroying them. And all of the Blood Angels, understandably so, are pissed because it's like having like a younger sibling, and like someone is trying to like hurt your younger sibling. It's like that, but like 5 times worse, because this is their legacy. This is how they're going to continuing the legacy of Sanguinius, the father that they love very, very much. It was pretty bad. I was like, oh my gosh. Like most of them ended up dying in the fight because the Tyranids destroyed them, and also just collateral damage. You have bolters, things that are exploding in this room. Like nothing is safe. It was absolutely devastating. Dante was in there, and like he almost died in there trying to save all these neophytes, and it was just so unfortunate. Most of them just end up dying. It was very sad. Yeah, they sit a year on average. Some of them go longer. Yeah, it depends. Oh, thank you, Hydro Legionary, for the super chat. If you're on Devastation of Baal, Fear to Tread would be a good precursor story as it covers part. Yes, I read that. It was really good. I liked that one a lot. Pretty freaking brutal. That's the one book where Sanguinius basically, he slaps his son right across the face. Because his son was like, this was actually Amit. Amit is the one that he slaps across the face, because Amit's like, what if Horus is a traitor? And Sanguinius was so mad, he like almost killed him. It was bad. Not a good moment for Sanguinius. Not a good moment in the slightest. Okay. Now. During this time, the exterior defenses are slowly being overrun due to massive numbers of like the Tyranids. Like there's millions and millions of Tyranids in this fight. It's not a good fight. Severely outnumbered. They just keep coming no matter how many. Like it's like one dies and 100 take its place. And then over time, significant locations across the fortress monastery are surrendered, which lowers morale significantly. So there is one area, I forgot what the name of it was, but it's an arch that all the Blood Angels would pass under after they had a massive victory and success. And they had to destroy the arch to prevent the Tyranids from closing in. And it's very, like, that's like so sad that you have to destroy it, that you're not walking through it in victory, but you're destroying it in like your failure. It's like, oh man, that would be like devastating. So they have to do this, and there's other locations that they have to abandon because the Tyranids are just so numerous. Now, as if I keep saying this, but like, it's as if it couldn't get any worse. Things just keep happening, and it's bad. So, chat, do you know what I'm going to talk about now? looking at my screen, the Great Rift. You're finally done. I've been at this for too long, all in one go. Yeah, you're not going to be quizzed on the book, I promise. I would inform you if there was a test. You like this story time thing? It's pretty cool. Cool. I'm glad you're liking it. It's hard to tell when I don't see lots of like the chat. So I'm just talking. I'm just talking and just hoping it sticks. You didn't study. It's okay. It's okay. There's no test, chat. There's no test. I promise. There's no chat. There's no quiz. There's no test. Don't worry. So. Like on a scale of 1 to Cadia, how bad are we talking? Well, funny enough, I'm about to talk about Cadia. This is an oversimplification. As if things couldn't get worse, Cadia explodes. Which, I know I said it gets bad, and it is bad, but it is actually really, really good for the Blood Angels. In this case. Like, it ends up being pretty helpful. So, here's what happens. there's a psychic blast that, like, obviously it tears across the galaxy. The Great Rift forms. Everything is a mess. So this psychic blast impacts Baal. Now, a lot of librarians die. And a lot of, like, humans that are warp touched or they have some psychic abilities also die. Because their brain is getting fried. Pretty much. It's not good. However, the Tyranids are, I mean, not kind of, they are a psychic race, in a sense. It's kind of weird to explain, and I don't know enough about the Tyranids to tell you appropriately. But the Tyranids are also heavily impacted by this. And this is why it's good for the Blood Angels, even though a lot of people still died. They lose cohesion. So the Tyranids are a hive mind. And what happens here is that just because the brains are no longer talking to one another doesn't mean it simply, like, drops dead. The main brain, or the Swarm Lord we'll call it, is still controlling everything, but it's like if your Wi-Fi gets disconnected. Like, your computer is still running and your computer is still active, but it can't talk to other computers. That's basically what happens here. So instead, the Tyranids don't die, but because they lose cohesion and they can no longer talk to each other, they became bestial. They resorted to their bestial instincts, and they started, like, turning on each other. Oh, thank you for the super chat, Aunt Ram. Yes, Cadia. Oh, Cadia. That, honestly, it's freaking brutal. It's brutal. Yeah, the planet fell before the guard. Really, the most unfortunate thing ever. What was I gonna say? The super chat distracted me. Oh, the way they described it in the book is that for the first time, the hive mind knew death. Because it wasn't connected to anything, and parts of its units, like, just straight up died, or some of them never got reconnected to the hive mind. So, like, the Tyranids were turning on each other. The hive mind eventually reasserted control over the thralls. We'll call them thralls. But it did some serious damage to the forces of the Tyranids. It was not good. It was not good. Yeah, no hive mind to direct the millions of hungry mouths. Yep. A big... So it worked out. It works out. Like, it still sucks because everyone was pretty messed up. And this is when all, like, the warp stuff gets really, really weird. I'll say this. For the rest of the battle, like, it seems like the siege on Baal by Leviathan, like, takes several weeks. But by the end of the book, it seems to take, like, 70 years. So after the Great Rift occurs, like, psychic time shenanigans really messes everything up. Like, really messes it all up. So the warp is gonna warp. Anyways. So. Keep saying so. So it's it gets worse. So like I said earlier, Kabanda, he still arrives, but he materializes above Baal Primus. This kind of happens, like, right after the Great Rift forms. It's hard to say what time. Like I said, time gets really, really screwy. And he basically plummets to the surface of Baal Primus because while the ritual that Mephiston and the other librarians did, it failed to keep him inside the plane of corn. It actually prevented him from setting foot on Baal, which is a huge success. I mean, it's still bad because he's in the area. Like, you don't want him in your neighborhood. But he's at least not at your front door. That's a good way to put it. Like, yes, he's probably gonna really mess up some of your neighbors, but at least he's not at your front door. He can't get into your front door. I'm sorry, that's such a bad analogy, but it's kind of accurate. So if we remember before, on Gabriel Seth of the Flesh Tearers, and then the Knights of the Blood are on Baal Primus right now. I think there are some other chapters, but they're not nearby when this homie lands on the surface. Fortunately, Kabanda, he's weakened and he's unable to sustain himself for a long period of time. There's not enough like psychic stuff going on where he can maintain his physical form. So he's actually on a timer. So he comes in and he starts destroying everything. Now, you know how I said that Gabriel Seth and the chapter master of the Knights of the Blood were not getting along? Well, at the very, very end, everyone's fighting. Actually, the reliquary with Sanguinius's feather in it actually is like a solace and a source of comfort for a lot of the Blood Angels right before they start to like edge into the Black Rage and they start to be consumed by it. Just seeing and being in the presence of this holy relic prevents them from going insane, which is really, really good because then they were, for the most part, perfectly sane when they went to go fight this guy. So at this point in time, Gabriel Seth is like, hey, we need to retreat. We need to help them on Baal. They're really struggling. Baal Primus is lost. Like, we can't save it from the Tyranids. It's already being consumed by all the Tyranids that are here. And the Knights of the Blood, the chapter master is like, you know what, brother, like, we're too far gone. You go, you protect Baal. Knights of the Blood, we've done too much. And he takes off like his helmet, and some of the others take off their helmets, and they are like, they start looking like, they look very monstrous. Like they are too close to like almost becoming demons themselves in terms of like appearance. They said like, we'll never be accepted back into the Blood Angels for this. Like we've had too much blood and now we look like monsters. So the Knights of the Blood decide to sacrifice themselves to fight Kabanda. So there's Kabanda, and then there's also a bunch of other like lesser demons that appear on the planet with him. So they go and they fight him, but they basically sacrifice themselves. They don't live after this. So they just get into the Black Rage and they die while the Flesh Tearers retreat to Baal to assist in the defense. So I think I got all the bullet points. Bum, 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 bum. Now we have the final stand, the last oomph. Oh, why did I say that? Why did I say the last? I don't know why. I don't know what I was trying to say. Yeah, perfectly sane as they charge into a greater demon of corn. Well, actually, like they were like more in control of themselves than like in previous parts of the battle, which like I know sounds really, really weird. They're actually way more sane. Yeah, they became what Blood Angels fear. They're just under the surface. So they almost actually, when they were fighting, I'll go back. When they were fighting him, they were almost like turned to Khorne. Actually, Khorne was like, yes, fight like with the rage and the anger that's inside of you. And they're like, no, my rage is righteous and holy. It's from Sanguinius. And like the distinction that they made, they're like, no, it's not the same as yours. Like, I'm fighting for the Imperium. I'm fighting for Sanguinius. I'm fighting for Baal. I'm fighting for my brothers. And I was like, oh yes, get them, boys. And it was just, it's kind of sad that they died, even though like they were too far gone, unfortunately. But I just thought that was a good distinction between the different kinds of rages. Hi, hello to people who are joining. So let's see. So the last stand, this like the last rally. The Blood Angels make one final charge to defeat the Hive Mind. This is like a few days after the Great Rift forms. Is it days? It could be weeks. It's not really clear. But there's only so many left, and they're like, you know what? We got to make our last stand. Let's go out there and like take care. Ooh, sorry, I got the hiccups. Let's take care of them and like take out as many as we can before they get us. Anime moment. Yeah, pretty much. It was very much an anime moment. So they charge out there, and I don't know if I completely understand where the Tyranids' numbers were at, if they were like severely depleted, like how bad it was. But basically what happens while they are out on the battlefield fighting these Tyranids is that the Sanguinor appears. And I was like, yo, this guy shows up. So fun fact about the Sanguinor, it's kind of, I don't know much about him, but he's kind of like a manifestation of Sanguinius. Kind of. He's basically like a holy warrior, and he just appears wherever like the Blood Angels like are need him most. So if we're being honest, Dante commented that he was quite bitter that the Sanguinor never showed up. He and the Sanguinor have beef. I don't know what the Sanguinor exactly said to him, but they have beef. It's just like a little bit of beef. And he was like a little salty that the Sanguinor hadn't showed up at this point. He's like, bro, what's like, man, this is like where you are needed the most. Like, why aren't you here? They say in the book that the Sanguinor would have been there a lot earlier, but it was at Cadia. Yeah, so Dante was all like, rah, 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 rah. Why was he not here? Nah, 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 nah. He did a whole thing. And then they're like, oh yeah, he was at Cadia. I'm like, oh yeah, see, I think that's really pressing. Yeah, the last hurrah is what I meant, but I couldn't, I just couldn't think about it. Celestine more fabulous, more girly, and a guy. So the Sanguinor shows up, and he's like, hey, and he basically, as the Blood Angels are starting to go into the Black Rage, they also release the Death Company. So the Death Company is involved here in destroying everything too. And before Dante like gives himself into the Black Rage, the Sanguinor basically, I'm gonna put it this way because it's funny. The Sanguinor basically pulls out a laser pointer, like the Blood Angels are cats, and he basically points the laser pointer at the Swarm Lord. The Swarm Lord who is controlling every part of Leviathan. And all of the Blood Angels are like, okay, we're gonna get that thing. So they start going after, the Swarm Lord. Sanguinor not looking hot right now. So yeah, Sanguinor basically gets a laser pointer, and all the Blood Angels are like, oh, we're gonna go get the Swarm Lord. So Dante basically comes face to face with the Swarm Lord. For a moment, he's like almost tricked into thinking the Swarm Lord is like Horus and that he is Sanguinius. And it's kind of like an interesting thing, because Dante's always had to deal with the fact that people see him as Sanguinius, even though they know he's not, but like psychologically, because he has the mask and there's like the psychic aura about him, they think that he's Sanguinius. Saint Vacador, thank you for the bit. Sanguinor X Saint Celestine. Yeah, I think that's one of the pieces of art that I have. One second. It's like of those two. Yeah, so the Swarm Lord tries to trick him to thinking that the Swarm Lord is Horus and that he is its Sanguinius, but he goes through this whole like mental process and he's like, I'm not Sanguinius, I'm Dante. If I'm gonna die, I'm gonna be me. I'm not gonna be Sanguinius. I can't be my father. I'm not my father. I am Dante. And I'm like, yes, man, go man. So they fight. It's a pretty epic battle. Swarm Lord is like incredibly fast and has the chitinous swords, and they're getting at each other. honestly, if you just even like listened or like read like the fight, it's just a cool fight. So they are locked into a vicious duel, and well, the Swarmlord deals like a incredibly lethal blow to Dante. Like, he like punctures one of his hearts, his innards are a mess, and the Swarmlord is like exulting in its victory, and it's like has Dante on one of its like spikes, and he's like holding it up in the air in like triumph, like a movie style. And as that's happening, Dante's like, hey, you forgot about my sidearm. And he gets at him in the face. He blasts his face off. It was so satisfying. He, like, oh, like if the Tyranid had like an emotion, like a human emotion, it was like, oh, I'm triumphant. This is amazing. And then he just gets blown to pieces. So even though Dante's been dealt like a vicious, lethal blow, and he's basically dead because the Swarmlord's sword is still in his guts, and the Swarmlord falls over, jostles all the guts with the sword. It's a mess. He is a mess. Dante's a puddle on the floor, basically. Still in his armor, but he is not doing hot. And Dante dies. Kind of dies. Now, yeah, Dante dies. However, there is maybe a little bit of someone intervening in the process. So, one of Dante's hearts was severely damaged. He's lost a lot of blood, man. Not even like a space marine. Like, it's a lot of blood. You can't make that up. It's what he always wanted. Yes, he's tired, and he's like, you know what? I've served for so long. I just want to be at peace. I want to be at rest. So he awakes to see the Sanguinor presenting Sanguinius to him. It's like in this like space he's never been before. I kind of imagine it as like a giant white room. And he sees the Sanguinor. He's like, oh my gosh, you came. Like, thank you. And the Sanguinor like looks at him, and then he like gestures behind him. And Sanguinius is standing before him. And I'll talk about the quote that Sanguinius says later, because it's too good. It's too good to not talk about. Sanguinius commends him for his service, and he says, my son, I'd give you anything. I'd let you be with me, but I need you to stay alive. Your duty is not done. I need you to keep living. Like, I'm so proud of you. And just so sad. And Sanguinius basically ensures that Dante lives, even though Dante begs for death, and he wants to be done because he has worked so hard. One of the things that I find interesting, and I'll kind of get into this later, but after the fact, Dante is surprisingly chill about coming back from death. And to be fair, I haven't read too many of the books regarding or like involving Dante, so maybe this is just one instance that I saw it. He actually like says later on that if Sanguinius commanded that he continue to fight and he continue to live, then he would do so to honor his father. And I was like, well, that doesn't sound like a guy who wants to die. I mean, obviously he's indicated it now, like during this like dream sequence, we'll say. And maybe he indicated it in the book, the Dante book. But I was like, man, this sounds like a guy who's like he's actually kind of okay with it in the end, which would kind of surprise me. Dante in that white room like Harry Potter. That actually was what I was thinking of when I was like, oh, the white room. Dante, the boy who lived. Yeah, I also found out Dante's name is Lewis. I didn't know that. I thought his name was Dante. It is. It's just his last name. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I don't know if the super chat came through. I didn't see it pop up on my screen, but I'll read it. Aunt Ram, thank you for the super chat. Are you proud of my stepsons? Yes, I'm proud of them. They've done a very good job. This was like, they did this against all like possible odds. I will say during this time and like right before this, there's a human psyker that attempts to look into the warp to try to send a message like basically a distress signal to anyone to see if they can get help. He becomes corrupted by the warp and he has to die later, but he ends up seeing like something like glowing in the distance approaching, and he's like, oh my gosh, it's finally like we're gonna be saved. So basically they do get saved. But before I get into that, I forgot I had this slide. We're gonna talk about Sanguinius's prophecy, because they talk about this in Dante, and I had to look it up because I thought it was fascinating. This is Dante, by the way. So Sanguinius's prophecy. Sanguinius chronicles a dream that he had after finding out about Horus's treachery. He basically sees the Emperor on the golden throne as a corpse. Is it Louis? Is it Luis or Louis? They say the audiobook says Louis, but it's spelled like Luis. It's weird. I was like, how, wait, oh, I thought it was like Lewis or Louis, Louis, but it's Luis, Louis. So Sanguinius sees the Emperor on the golden throne as a corpse, and he's like, this is not good. Like, my dad should not be like that. I wonder if my dad knows about this. I'm not gonna tell him because, you know, it would mess up fate. And then later, he sees a golden warrior who sacrifices himself to save the Emperor from kind of unknown foes. Sanguinius is like, I think it's one of my sons, and he looks like my herald, and he's in all gold, and he wears my face. He's like, I don't know who this is, because he's not, obviously not met Dante. Dante hasn't been born for another, like, 9,000 plus years. But the quote that is, like, perfect, is, I know this, that he was a noble warrior, true and purer than any of his age. And I love him for that, for it means that my works for the Emperor, at least, have not been undertaken in vain, and that my unavoidable death might also prove fruitful. That is like a quote from Dante. That is like a direct quotation from the prophecy, which is like really like touching when you think of it that way. So this is probably the reason Sanguinius kept Dante alive. For whatever reason, I don't think there's any more information about this just yet, but it definitely says a lot about what Dante can do in the future if there is something that happens with the Golden Throne and the Emperor. So Dante is familiar with this prophecy, and he thought it was him for like the longest time. He's like, oh, it seems like it's probably me, I'm not sure. And when he died, he's like, oh, thank goodness it's not me. Like, honestly, that's a lot to deal with. And then Sanguinius is like, yo, you gotta stay alive. You gotta stay alive, sir. And Dante, I think, is like, yeah, it might be me at this point. So that's like extra context of why Sanguinius might have kept this good boy alive. Now, the conclusion. As I said, there was a golden light that a psyker saw, and he was like, oh my gosh, help is coming. Well, guess what? It's Rabute Gilliman! Dante is brought back to life. He's mad at everyone because everything hurts. And he's not happy. He's not a happy camper about it because he wanted to die. But Rabute Gilliman is revealed. And this is like a huge shock to everyone. Everyone thought, oh, the Primarchs are like gone. They're never coming back. Everything is absolutely screwed. Your vacation request has been denied. You'll need to come in tomorrow, Dante. Yes. Yep. Sorry about that. So, Gilliman is revealed to be alive. And Dante approaches Gilliman, and Gilliman is like, well, Dante tries to kneel, and Gilliman's like, you don't kneel to me, man. You have done so much. You are amazing. Don't even think about it. Don't even think about it, man. And Gilliman comes and he's like, yo, we're trying to take back the galaxy in the name of the Imperium. And like, we need all the help we can get. Here are some new Primaris Space Marines. they are like, they gave them like the Blood Angel ones, and they said, this is to help replenish your legions. And everyone's like staring at each other like, what the heck are these new dudes doing here? So he introduces those, and Dante is named Lord Regent of Imperium Nihilus. So he still is alive, but now he has extra responsibility and more reason to, like, there's a lot of stuff that Dante has to do now. It's dangerous to go alone. Here, take the Primaris. Yes. Primaris, probably is how you say it. In any case, that's kind of the conclusion. That's how everything wraps up for this. So they are saved. When Dante kills the Swarm Lord, basically all of the other Tyranids, they just bleh. They're done. They're done. So they have successfully saved Baal from the horrible fate of being consumed by Leviathan. Now, I said earlier that I would tell you the numbers. So if you want to get an idea of how bad, like how brutal this war against the Tyranids was, before the conflict, there are approximately 60 chapters. How many men are in a chapter is super varied. So it's, I don't have a good number for you, but there's someone else on the internet who came up with an approximation, like 29,000 warriors. So almost 30,000 warriors. That's a lot. That's a lot of people. There's 21 battle barges in terms of like ships, 94 strike cruisers. A lot of stuff, a lot of stuff. After the conflict, how many chapters are left remaining? 8 chapters were completely destroyed. This includes the Angels Excelsis, Knights of the Blood, Burning Blood, Brothers of Durad, Angels Glorious, and then there's 3 chapters that are unnamed, but they are, you know, they said 8 are destroyed, but they only mentioned those 5. So at minimum, it's like 800. It's like 800 men. Well, here, I'll do math here in a second. Hi, Mini Death Knight. Yes, here's the button. There you go. Put it there. Wait, oh no, I'll put it by me, because the alert is over there. Thank you for the bits, by the way. So at minimum 800 Space Marines per chapter. So 8 times 800, 6,400 minimum. Gone. So take this number from 29 and basically knock it down to like 22, 23,000. Taku, thank you for the bits. Man, I wish I could be like my father Gilman. Why? Because he's mighty and powerful? No, because he's dead. Yep. Yep. So, oh yeah, and someone said the 1,000 cap doesn't include the apothecaries, librarians, etc. So, and they have higher amounts of psychers than the Blood Angels. So, at minimum, you're losing about 7,000 people. So, you go from 29,000 warriors to like 22. So, you're almost at like, you've lost about 30% of your forces. That's not good. And the remaining chapters, there's no numbers listed for this one, but it says the remaining chapters are reduced to less than half their original strength. At maximum, that means at maximum, if it's 1,000, it's like a little more than that, that's like 500 dudes a chapter. But that means there are 52 chapters left, 500 warriors. They're not all the same size either. So some of them could have had like 500 dudes or 400 dudes. Because I actually think the Flesh Terrors had like 400 guys. So like they're all different sizes. Like it's a mess. It's like, I would say probably, I think if I'm ballparking it, 25% of the original forces survived. So it's, yeah, it is pretty brutal. It's a Pyrrhic victory, if you're familiar with the term. The best chapter didn't even make it to the party. Yeah, Lamenters couldn't make it. They were busy. They were busy. So it was pretty bad. Now, the part that is going to be a little bit fun. There's so many quotes that I liked in this book, but I had to simplify it because then I'd be talking forever. You know, I'm already talking so much. So I have some quotes that I thought were good and I thought I could expand upon them a little bit. I've kind of touched on a few of them, but I will read them and then I will just I will word vomit my thoughts to you. So this one, make sure I had this right. So this is at the beginning of the siege, you could say. This is when the thirst water is first introduced. And Ordemail is a chaplain for the Blood Angels, and this is the person this is the point of view we're seeing it from. He is viewing the, one of the Gaunts, which is a type of Mind Flayer organism, we'll call it, inspecting the thirst water. So, here we are. Ordemail had stared into the dead black eyes of countless Gaunts. This one was different. There were subtle variations to its cranium, a difference in the way its heat vents were arranged. Small, but crucial. Something rode this creature, something so powerful that at 100 yards away, looking out from 1,000 near identical beasts, its presence pressed at the chaplain and made him reel. Oh, I didn't include the rest of the quote. There's more to it, but it essentially implied that in that particular moment, the Swarm Lord was, like, piloting the Gaunt and, like, staring directly at, like, the chaplain. That it was very much aware of kind of what he was. And you could, like, see the ancient horror that was behind that. That's behind the Hive Fleet Leviathan. I thought that was kind of like spooky, like to think of it that way. Just a terrifying thought. This one was pretty basic. The next one is... which one is... What is this one about? One second. I think... Make sure I know what it's about before I start. I want to provide context before I start jabbering. Okay. This next one is basically the quote that Sanguinius says to Dante. And he says, hey, bro, you gotta keep living. Alright. You have suffered greatly for mankind's sake, said Sanguinius. His voice was beautiful. You have won your rest 1,000 times. Rarely has one man given so much, Lewis of Baal Secundus. You have been a light in dark times. I would give you any reward. I would take you to my side. I would free you from strife. I would release you from pain. Yes, said Dante, please. I have served so long. Grant me the freedom of death. Sanguinius gave Dante a look of profound sorrow. I cannot. I regret that I can do none of those things. I need you, Dante. Your suffering is not done. I was like, man. I knew Dante was still gonna stay alive, but I didn't know Sanguinius was gonna say all this. So, like, when I heard the voice actor do the Sanguinius voice, I was like, oh my gosh, like, and like the description of him, I was like, oh dang, like, imagine that, like, Dante's never seen Sanguinius in like real life. He's only seen like statues. He's never seen him, but it's like, imagine that moment where you get to see like your dad in that way. Just, I don't know, it kind of broke my heart. It broke my heart, and I was like, dude, this guy just like, he's so done. It's so sad. Oh, there's a guy who voice acted this whole part. That might be a good thing to listen to. it's yeah, I don't know, it just made me really sad when I was listening to it. Like, it just broke my heart, man. The voice he gives Dante is heartbreaking. Okay, maybe I'll have to listen to it. But this just made me like, oh, it hurt me. Because like he's done so well. I don't know, sorry, it just made me so sad. I was like, bro, this is so messed up. I wish he could just be okay and not have to deal with this. All right, the next one is something that Dante makes an observation about Guilliman that I've never heard anyone like really make this observation about the Primarchs. I thought it was fascinating. I figured I'd share it. All his life, Dante had been told tales of the Primarchs. The stories did no justice to the being that stood next to him. Not in terms of his power or stature, but Dante was wise enough to know the stories had exaggerated these attributes of the Primarchs beyond belief. The real surprise was that the stories did no justice to the Primarch's humanity. He was completely human, concentratedly so, as if the essence of mankind had been distilled 100 times and poured into a giant's body. Beyond human, but more human for being so. He was a perfect exemplar of sacred mankind in every way. And I thought this was particularly interesting because I think most of the time when you hear about the Primarchs, they are considered to be like demigods or abhuman, like not in the way that I'm an abhuman, let's make that clear. But they have this otherness to them that is concerning to people. Like, they don't like the way, there's like something about them that people kind of are put off by. And I thought this was a very different take on seeing that the Primarchs are very much, even though they are so different, genetically modified demigods, they are still very much human. They have those same feelings, they have those emotions attached to them. He just has the relaxed nature that you get. You don't, in this moment, it's just when Dante and Guilliman are talking privately, but just seeing that aspect where there's a moment where Guilliman does not have to be the boss of the Imperium. He can just have a normal conversation where you get to see that side of him. And the Primarchs don't get that when the Great Crusade is underway. They need to be the generals and they need to be the leaders that they're supposed to be. There is humanity in that, but you don't get to see the way they would act without having to be that leader. They can be the person that they want to be. So, to be fair, this is one of the most stable of the Primarchs. This is the dude that grew up a mama's boy after all. That is true. Guilliman is pretty stable. If you looked at some of the others, you'd be like, that's a little messed up. You're a bit crazy. So, yeah, that was just another quote that I really liked because I never heard a take that way. It's just like, oh, they're so inhuman. They're too perfect. They're just something other. There's an otherness. Spider Dad is a stable dude. He's not Spider Dad. All right, those were the quotes that I had. I went and I pulled some memes together. There's not many memes, honestly. There's no memes on the Devastation of Baal. It's mainly Dante memes. So I found like 3 Dante memes that I thought we would appreciate. Chat. So, the Devastation of Baal. Is that my sire? My Primarch? Oh, I have served for so long. I have endured more battles than anyone in the Imperium. For 1,000 years it was pure suffering. But I got through it. Because I knew, like, look at his face. Hang on, you can see my mask. Good. Look at his little face. That's gorgeous, and he's so sad. Look at his tears. Help him up. He's so tired. He's so tired, chat. He's so tired. I knew this day would come, that you'd come to take me with you by your side. And I can finally have my rest at last. Oh, I'm so glad. My lord. And this face was hilarious. Sanguinius is like, I have other plans for you. There's more Devastation of Baal memes in the meme channel. Great, excellent. I'll take advantage of those. But I love the Sanguinius face. He's like, yeah, is that so? Really? Oh, well, that's not my plan. Prepare to get wrecked. Prepare to get wrecked. I like this one. Now, the next one, I have 2 memes on this page. Sanguinius, please end my suffering. No. Perfect, because it's an angel. It's wonderful. Wonderful. And then this one. If anyone is familiar with ASDF, those were like shorts that came out like years and years ago. Just little animated stuff. If you're familiar with it, it'll be funny. If not, it's okay. Hey, Swarmlord. Swarmlord, you want to eat me? No thanks, Mr. Dante. But I want to die. If you're familiar with the clips, you'll understand and it's funny. But I found it funny. I haven't kept up with the ASDF comics. Like they started going downhill after like 10 or 11, I think. So I don't watch them anymore. But yes, so this is the PowerPoint. Those are some of the art credits. But yeah, all in all, it was pretty brutal. In the end, it's like a semi-happy ending. Pyrrhic victories are still not cool, but they won in the end, and Dante is alive, much to probably his... he's probably pretty upset about it. So there it is. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Did they beat the Necrons or what? Oh yeah, they totally beat the Necrons. You're absolutely right. They took care of that problem swiftly. So that was my overview on the Devastation of Baal. I'm actually quite happy with the timing of it. It ended up, I was worried it was going to go too fast. Why isn't my chat box going? There we go. Yeah, Pyrrhic are the only kind of victories the Imperium knows. Absolutely. So I hoped you guys liked it. I'm gonna take a peek at some of the memes in the Discord and see what's going on there. Join the Discord too, that they put all the memes there. Don't know if you showed it, but there's one really nice piece of art by Ivan of the Death Company Sergeant with a laurel wreath. Oh, I know, I haven't. I didn't pull up any pictures of Death Company. Let me look. But yeah, it was great you were listening while painting. Yeah, this is kind of like a chill stream where it's like mostly like listening. I just wanted to see what people liked. Cause you know, it's me yapping, but it's not as much of the interaction side. Which makes me sad because I like talking to chat and I have way more fun when I get to talk to you. I'll have to look into it when I'm not trying to stream and look at photos at the same time. I'll look into some of the photos. Oh gosh. Did you make these memes? You did make it. So we have someone in our Discord that makes memes. So someone made a bunch of memes for me. Thank you very much. Okay, 1 second. I'm going to almost in time for the end of stream. I'm actually, there's some memes that got thrown in the Discord. Let me like just peruse them really fast. You put a lot of memes in here. Holy cow. Okay. I need to do some configuration right now. 1 second. We are going to do this. 1 second, chat. You talk amongst yourselves while I While I go to set up us examining the Discord. Can I capture this? Just this? I just want to capture. Okay, I think I've got it, but I don't know how it's going to turn up on my screen. So we're going to do this. I don't have anything here. It's just the Discord. Okay. Okay, cool. Let me adjust this. I think if I click on... So here's the Discord server. Join us. We have fun here. Okay, where? See, where does it pop up? Oh, it's not very big. It's as big as I can make it right now. I can't do it any... Go! Okay. Well, okay. So, we have a bunch of memes. We're gonna look at them really fast because they're funny. Ball citizen finding a pool of water to drink from. It's thirst water, and that's really funny because that's exactly what happened to him. Brutal, brutal man. The different chapters. Offended that Can I make this bigger? This is annoying. Can I do a thing? Let me do the thing. Please. Transform. No, it won't let me. It won't let me. Silly. Different chapters offended that Dante, even though him not being the War Master was up for consideration. They're like, you have to be. You're the only one who is like the authority to really lead us. Dante just being polite. They weren't all that mad, but there were some that were like, yo, bro. Really? 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 That one's funny. Dante. Yes, sometimes I really hate being alive. That is Dante in a nutshell. I love this one. The Harlequin in his dreams, Mephiston. He was like less scared and more just like, bro, what the heck? Let me go, man. Like, I don't want to be part of this. And she's like, you have to watch this, which was good that she made him watch this. But, I know I could open it in my browser, but I don't have that set up. It's fine. You can see it well enough. And if you can't see them, you should just join the Discord and look at them there. It's fine. It's fine. Mephiston, according to the audiobook, yes, he sounded really weird. I did not like his voice. But I guess he is a nerd, so, you know, we can only get so much out of him. Kabanda explaining their deep, unending hatred for the Blood Angels before murdering the Bloodletter he was... Yep. That guy's angry. He hates the Blood Angels so much. Oh no! Oh no, that's so bad. That's so bad. Oh, the lictor. Oh my gosh. Those poor neophytes. So sorry, little guys. So sorry. Then we have... Okay, I'm gonna fight some Blood Angels. Sanguinius got hands. He does have hands. I mean, Sanguinius did get beat up the first time, but second time, boom. Got him. Got him. Gosh, Cadia memes. Oh my gosh. Cadia blows up. Great success. Ball after Cadia blows up. Let me in! Let me in! So sorry, this is so dumb. Yes, this is so accurate. This is fine. Everything's fine. They're fine after they're comforted by the reliquary. Yeah, they're like, oh, it's all good now. Everything's okay. Everything's okay. The Grey Knights. Oh my gosh. The Grey Knight Prognostiziars. Yeah, they definitely would have had a problem with some of those things. The Leviathan Swarmlord. Well, he was pretty cocky until Dante like started like, well, no, that's the Sanguinor, but definitely he was pretty cocky when Dante showed up. He wasn't too bothered. Yes, thank you very much. Sanguinor, the Death Company, the Swarmlord. Yes, everyone was going after him. That's perfect. Thank you very much. What'd you miss? Well, I went through and I explained the whole book of Devastation of Baal, and memes were made while I was talking, because I said there weren't a lot of Devastation of Baal memes, so people made memes while I talked about it, so they made memes. Hopefully they're not inaccurate, anything I've said. Yes. I didn't hear no bell. That's Dante. That's Dante in a nutshell. In a nutshell, that's Dante. How many memes did you make? There's so many. Dante getting accredited by his father and literally being brought back from death. Yeah, he's pretty upset about that. I think someone mentioned this meme in the chat. That was pretty funny. I love that. Rude. Rude. Anyways, it doesn't matter.